Welcome back to Big Red Rant, everybody. After the Nebraska Cornhuskers take quite the beating, Gary, 37-10. I guess I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't see that coming because I did not see that coming. I thought the Huskers had a chance to win that game. You predicted that we would lose, but you didn't think we were going to lose by that much. First, apologies. Gary's on a hunting trip, so we don't get his normal camera and microphone, but if you will, still Gary, and we appreciate your time. Is it too simple to say that the reason Nebraska got the brakes beaten off of them here, and the reason that Nebraska doesn't beat the top tier teams, is because their offensive and defensive line play is just not up to snuff? Is that an oversimplification?
I mean, it could be, but it's one of those things you don't know until it is up to snuff. Everything starts and ends with your French play. And Penn State clearly has the better roster. They have an interim coach, a backup quarterback, and beat the brakes off of Nebraska like they were a North Dakota State level team. Not even that good, honestly. But you can have all the 4 and 5 star quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, Heisman candidate running backs, great transfers, elite defensive back, all the bells and whistles that everybody gets excited about when it comes to recruiting and transfer portal. But when you get absolutely bullied at every position on both sides of the offense and defensive line, another team can have as good or slightly worse, or maybe even to an extent a couple levels worse than you, which I don't think Penn State does at skill positions, and there's nothing you can do about it. Your quarterback can't ever get comfortable. There's not enough time for plays to develop. Your running back doesn't have legit lanes. We got sacked on a screen, and even if he didn't get sacked, there's 2 guys waiting after the defensive end comes in scot free. Like it's just across the board. It's bad. You mentioned during the live stream the Dana Holgerson factor, and that could be true. There could definitely be something to that, but I've said, like when Raiola was in, they've got to go to a quicker pass game. If you become a team that can only move the ball through the air because you're a quick pass team, a decent defensive coordinator and a good defense is going to adjust to that, and they'll take that away from you. So Penn State clearly had the blueprint coming in. Worry about Emmett Johnson. Everything else will take care of itself. And first drive of the game proved that they knew what was coming. We couldn't get 1 yard. I mean, you couldn't create a stalemate at the line of scrimmage so that your elite running back could find a way to get a yard. When they knew it was run, they would shut down. He's in the backfield. He's trying to make guys miss and dance forward for a 1 or 2 yard loss instead of a 5 or 6 yard loss. Like, there isn't enough talent on the outside or the backfield to overcome a bad offensive line. In the defensive side, Butler might not be the answer. I don't know. But you can't do the things you want to do on defense when your defensive line is incapable of having gap discipline. It's just, I don't know if they're being coached to take whatever the easy leverage is off the snap, but offensive lines are taking advantage of that every turn. Guys, whether they're in 2 technique, they're trying to be inside, they're playing head up, whatever it is, in a 3, whatever it is, the offensive line, the offensive lines, it seems like almost leverage that, like, yeah, I'll give you this. And when a guy thinks I'll just take the path of least resistance, they just wash him out. When you see Emmett go into gaps and there's next to no room and he has to get sideways and shifty and go through, offenses we play, their running back doesn't have to tweak his body at all. He can put his head down, square, wide ass pads, and he's got all the room in the world to go because everybody's washed out of wherever a defender is supposed to at least hold stance. Like it's insane. I mean, I've hounded for weeks on the lack of edge contain, and now it's like, and you watching this game, I don't know how many times you see the interior defensive lineman would have room to get by, have leverage on a offensive, a guard, the inside guys. And right when they made contact, they would just go with them in that momentum. And now you open up a huge ass A gap. It's just, you can't have a problem containing or, tightening up an A gap and not have edge contain. Like, it's just, and then not to mention you have zero pass rush. When we have had the slightest resemblance of what would be a pass rush, guys over pursue or they can't complete the tackle. It's just problems stem from, and the biggest issues on this team are both lines. And, people were mad at Raiola. People have been mad at receivers not getting open. We've talked about, some of the play calling, but at some point, the very basis and foundation of what you're trying to do on either side of the ball has to be able to somewhat stand pat so that you can see what you can do outside of that. This game against this team and this roster, especially this line, was a little bit more exaggerated, but reminded me a lot of what Michigan did in the trenches against us. And this is what you're going to get. I've been saying for a while, they haven't done this or they haven't done that when it comes to the line play. If they got Raiola to get his son, because Frost was too lazy to actually recruit and he thought it'd be easier to hire his uncle, and that meant he was coming, and it actually worked. And Rule didn't want him to leave, so he kept him. I don't know if I believe all that, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the reason is, it's been long enough without development. I mean, I was clamoring, and then after we got kicked off the stream, I told you at this point you have to go get all the guys on your bench that haven't been playing. Your Grant Bricks, your Sam Sledge, you got whatever. You have to start playing those guys, because whether they're ready or not, the guys you put out there the last couple of weeks, they're not ready, and they're going to be seniors and be gone. I wouldn't be surprised if half of them transfer. You're going to have real game times that you have to put those guys in. Put them in now when the game's lost. Figure it out. Throw them to baptism by fire. Whatever you got to do. But when you just keep trying to do the same thing, and he's talked before about when he goes to other schools, well, we play freshman quarterbacks and we do freshman this. It's because you have nobody else. He refused to even run packages with Latif. There's been other instances where, like, he didn't want to bring in guys last year. We didn't have anybody else offensive line. Well, then when Prohaska goes down again, Corcoran goes down again, you put Gatua in, he looked decent. Well, he got hurt this year, didn't look the same as last year. But I'm just saying, like, you've got to change something. And I think at this point, you might get one more game or up to the bowl game. But I think Raiola has to go, whether he's the problem or not. You have to get somebody in there that can either recruit better if that's the problem, or if you are getting these recruits as good as their rankings are coming out of high school, how are they still not ready to go in garbage time or ready to go in blowout losses like this, or replace a guy that just can't contain anything, on both sides of the ball?
Any significance to you in the gut-wrenching start of the game? We march right down the field. Emmett actually breaks a big one, just doesn't have enough getaway speed to get all the way to the end zone. And then we end up going for a 4th and 1 or so, get stuffed. They go essentially 99 yards all the way to the house. Any significance in that? Do you feel like that could or should set the tone negatively for the rest of the game? And then with Dylan Raiola, do you think that this Latif performance says anything about which one of those two should be the guy?
Tone setting in the beginning of the game, in the moment, yeah, I thought so. As the game played out, if somebody would have screwed up on defense and Emmett scores on one of those carries, it doesn't matter. You're still losing that game. Like, they're in no position to win that. So I mean, in hindsight, that ended up not being as big of a deal as I thought it was at the time. But not converting a touchdown on the first drive of the game can't result in you losing bad as you lost and looking as bad as you looked throughout the game. So I thought it was the wrong decision. I didn't hate it with it being the first drive of the game. You moved the ball pretty well to that point. You think maybe they squeeze out of there a little bit, but we're going to get the ball back. They're not going to go 99 yards and score a touchdown. To me, that was a bigger, devastating blow than not converting either one of those, third or fourth in one plays that they tried to go and skipping the 3 points. You get a field goal there, it doesn't make a difference. Even if you punch that in, it doesn't make a difference. It's just, but that emphasizes what I'm talking about. You had 2 tries to just get 1 yard with an elite running back, one of the best running backs you've had at a program that's had very, very good running backs. And you can't muster up a single yard in 2 attempts with that offensive line against their defensive line. To me, that just put a magnifying glass on what the biggest problem with the program is and why we see growth. I mean, we're making bowl games. We're winning games in November. We're not losing every little close game or finding ways to lose games. Now you're just getting beat by teams that are clearly better than you at the most important positions, or at least position groups in the game. So yeah, it's nice, and you win press conferences and you win off-season awards by going and getting 5-star quarterbacks and Elite 11 quarterbacks and super fast wide receivers and impressive defensive ends and outside linebackers. But when you're, especially in the Big Ten, trying to win physical games late November and close out seasons, that's the biggest reason why Nebraska's had the issues it's had with winning games in November. Because you look at late November is usually when you play Wisconsin when they're good. It's when you play Iowa every year. It's when you've ran into Michigan's and Ohio State's, and you're playing the real like studs of the Big Ten that play real Big Ten football, and you don't match up with them because whether that's not a priority or the people you have in position to make that a priority and make that a significant focal point or strength of your team are failing, major work has to be done there. I know a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to fire Butler, fire Raiola, fire this guy, cut this guy, cut this guy. The focus needs to be on rebuilding that defensive line. And I know you lost guys last year, but they weren't world beaters. They're not doing anything in the NFL. I'm not shitting on them. I'm just saying you were decent last year with two guys who aren't on the level that a lot of the other defensive linemen you're playing are, and your offensive line has been an issue for years. Like all this money in the new era of college of Nebraska football that Rule's talking about, where now we can compete with these other schools and we can do whatever. I don't care, and I don't want to hear about a single skill player being added to the roster, especially through the portal. You recruit guys, great. I want every dime that they can scrounge up to the NIL to go to defensive line and offensive linemen, and or Raula's replacement, strength and conditioning, developing guy, whatever it is, to where we're not just getting bullied by every single line that we play, no matter what side it is, every single team we play, just bullying the shit out of us. It's insane. We were more physical when we were in the Big 12.